Now beginning transmission 145. Captain Marvel. File under Girls Who Kick Ass.
Come on, you fuckers think that just because a guy reads comics he can't start some shit? I'll fucking take all you want!
Welcome to this week's episode of the Funny Books and Firewater Podcast.
面白い本と歌手ポッドキャストの今週のエピソードへようこそ。
Ignore her. She drinks.
Each week a motley band of comic readers / amateur bartenders attempt to pair cocktails with comic books.
毎週漫画の読者の雑多なバンドはスラッシュアマチュア入札しようと漫画とペアカクテルバーです。
All while trying to not sound like complete morons in the
すべ
process.
ての中にしようとして音ではないような完了プロセスで低能です。
Kind of like a speakeasy kind of thing. It's kind of cool.
You can find these idiots on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr.
Facebook、Twitter、Instagram や Tumblr にこれらのバカを検索できます。
No, what? You read too many comic books.
We now join Brian, Jeremiah, Adam, and Todd.
They're used to curious sights which they attribute to alcoholic delusions. They may be drinkers, Robin, but they're also human beings.
I'm too sober for this shit. Here is a drinking game to play while you listen to this episode. Please drink responsibly, and don't take it too seriously. And if you don't like it, blame William.
Take a drink anytime Mr. Porg decides to interject himself into the conversation. Shut up, Porg.
You need to take a drink anytime Manny Bothands makes an appearance, and I get groans and fuck yous from Adam and Maya.
Fuck Manny Bothan!
Manny Bothan is pure genius. Take a drink anytime someone refers to me as the cum dumpster.
Take a drink every time the Shame Bell makes an appearance.
Also, take a drink anytime we act like the Member Berries from South Park. Remember when they were on South Park?
I remember.
Yeah, and take a drink every time we do the bad German accent, yeah.
Ah, drink, fucker!
If you have any suggestions for rules you would like to add, email us at funnybooksandfirewater@gmail.com or use the contact link on our website, funnybooksandfirewater.com.
Well, no, there's not really officially opening banter. It's just that I surprisingly start the recording on you and don't tell you. And then that ends up in the show.
Meow, meow,
So.
meow.
Yeah, that's Bruce. He's going to be making a guest appearance today.
Yeah.
Aw, Bruce.
Okay. Okay, well, we'll jump into it then.
I think we have a new drinking game.
There we go.
Okay.
Oh, God.
Special drinking game. Every time you hear Bruce
Yeah.
meow, take a drink. That will be nice and evil, and I don't actually recommend doing that.
No.
No. Well, Adam and I right now are enjoying.
Yes, we are enjoying each other.
Thank you.
Ooh, dirty.
That would be interesting, huh?
No, that was me last night.
Good for you.
Hey.
You know, I can always.
It had been a while, so.
Hey, I always appreciate people getting some. But we are enjoying gin and tonics with Aviation Gin, pimped himself by Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, we had this for the first time ever when we got drinks at the Red Door.
Yes.
Right before Neil Gaiman.
Right. That's actually quite delicious. Ryan Reynolds isn't wrong.
Ryan Reynolds is quite delicious.
He is one beautiful
So
man.
is his wife.
Yes, I love those two. Hey,
So does
Bruce.
I'm literally hurting cats today.
Yep.
Literally.
Quite literally, yeah.
You are welcome.
Bruce, what's that? Grab him by the what?
That's just locker room talk.
That is locker room talk, Bruce. Shame on you. Welcome to episode 145 of the Funny Books and Firewater podcast. I'm going to plow through this before anybody else distracts me and I don't get to say anything else. This week we are continuing on our week of Girls Who Kick Ass comic books, starting this week with Captain Marvel in Pursuit of Flight, the first trade paperback by Kelly Sue DeConnick. And with us, we have a full accoutrement, including a cat who is going to make a guest appearance. We will start with the pet of that cat, Mr. Jason.
Hi, I'm Jason. I'm an unemployed writer and owner/slave to Bruce the Cat, formerly of Daredevil Season 3. You can see my work as the scenes from your favorite episodes that didn't actually make it to the screen.
Oh, all your stuff got cut?
No, they just got rewrote.
By you or by somebody else?
Let's just say by the room.
Is that how that works? It's the collective room?
Yes.
Collective room. Okay. No one gets to take pure credit for anything?
No, it's fine.
Okay. Anyway, and then of course we have Mr. Bruce, which I don't think he's going to talk on cue.
He showed you,
Hi,
fucker.
He'll do what he wants. He's a cat, damn it.
Yeah, okay, so that's Bruce. Oh my God. We also have Mr. Maya, also a pet of a cat.
I am the pet of a cat, but my owner is a tier. But you can follow her on Instagram at It's the Jonesy, and the same thing on Twitter. And me at Twitter at Mr. Maya and Instagram at the Mr. Maya, and we'll talk about things. I like talking.
And then of course we have the household in which they're currently recording owner, I guess. And part of the reason why we're doing Girls Kick Ass this week, Aria's dad, we have Mr. Todd.
Hi, I'm Todd, and Aria is my owner. So,
yeah.
This week I've decided she kind of looks like a troll doll because she has my hair and it's just like standing straight up.
You have hair?
Some. What's left? And thank you for that. Or I think she's baby Darkseid because she's getting to the point she's messing herself, and I'm like, that's just evil shit coming out of there.
That's what you should do for her first Halloween, is like paint her gray.
And just say, this Darkseid is right there.
Yep.
So, yeah, I'm Todd. You can find me here on this podcast. There's another podcast that might be coming out again soon, we hope.
Yes, we're planning on recording episodes, so, my mom doesn't listen to the show, but those of you who do listen to English Class Hooligans, we're hoping to have new episodes starting in January.
Yeah.
Now that, of course, our lives have gotten infinitely more busy, somehow we're going to get this relaunched. But that's okay.
Infinitely more busy, but somehow you have more time?
We'll make it happen. Just make it. We're Tim Gunning this shit.
Yeah, well, we're just going to make it happen.
We're just going to make it happen. So, yeah.
Also making it happen, we have Mr. Adam.
Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Adam with Big Shiny Robot. Also, sometimes on the Board as Hell podcast with Andy Wilson.
Hi, Andy.
And, of course, over at Cinema Queens with our good friend Chris.
Hi,
Chris. Man, when this comes out, I will actually be up in Boise for training. Woohoo! Which is good because, new job, all that fun stuff. Although the shitty thing is I'll be up in Boise the entire time that Brian's in town. So that's shitty. But I will be back for the weekend of Wicked. So
my question for you is, after you spend your time in Boise, are you going to still call it Boise?
How are you supposed to say it?
It's no Z, it's an S.
They call it Boise?
Yeah.
Well, they're fucking stupid.
It's kind of like Hurricane
Utah. You're
Utah.
going to be here for Sundance.
Well, actually, I didn't apply for it because I figured even if I was going to be here, I'd be driving. I didn't have this new job lined up, so it works out that I didn't get a pass, so I couldn't use it anyways.
All right. So, as you spend your 5 weeks in Boise.
Yeah, but the fun thing is, obviously there are bills to pay, but I just realized that I have to get my car smogged and registered before the end of next week because I won't be back until they'll charge me a late fee and possibly get pulled over for driving with expired registration. So that's going to be fun.
Right, especially in Boise, they'll say, oh, this is an out-of-towner. We can get this fucker.
Yeah, but I mean, I come back to visit the 31st, like, so the last day of the month, so
okay,
I'll figure it out. But yeah, I'll be doing that, and then also curating our Grindr, Scruff, and Tights with a Z accounts.
Very nice.
Hooray! Also, and hey, I'm Brian. I'm a sound designer based out of Southern California. Also a grad student at the University of Denver. I am doing that all online, so that helps figure out the time-space continuum as which I can go. Yeah, well, it's funny because I posted that I was going to the University of Denver, and all these people I work with are like, "Wait, so you're leaving?" And I'm like, "No, I'm just going to be on my computer a whole hell of a lot more." So yeah. And so I've actually officially started classes, and I'm doing that whole thing. So now that I'm a grad student and Todd and Amy are our parents, we're going to try to start another podcast up again because we're brilliant that way.
Sure.
Well, we're going to try to we sort of fell off the wagon on English Class Hooligans because Todd and Amy were having the kid, and, I was having a little bit of a life, and it just never worked out for a little while. So we're going to try to get that back up and running because my mom is our biggest fan and harasses the shit out of me when I don't do it. So yeah,
we love you, Mom. So thank you.
We love you too.
Book intro.
So this week we are doing Captain Marvel. First 6 issues?
5.
5 issues.
Yeah,
okay,
5.
That's the thing I need to double check on because, of course, I have the edition that has 12 issues, so I wasn't quite certain on that.
It's 5.
It's 5. So we got a little bit of time travel, and we got Captain Marvel taking up her mantle and her secret identity being revealed as Carol Danvers, so now she's no longer hiding and is sort of moving on with that. Anything else I should be summarized, forewarned on that?
No, that's pretty much it.
No.
Pretty much it? Okay, cool.
Drinking game.
Then let us start out with a drinking game for this week's episode. Mr. Maya, what is your drinking game?
My drinking game is da plane, da plane. Anytime they talk about planes or flying.
I'm going to do something's different here, which is every time the art style changes, take a drink. Mr. Jason, what is your drinking game rule?
Mine is called Princess Sparkle Fist. Drink whenever Captain Marvel's fists are glowing.
Oh, nice. I like Princess Sparkle Fist.
That's also Adam's nickname.
It wasn't. I was almost accidentally fisted, and it wasn't sparkly. That's a story for Cinema Queens. Sparkle Fist is also coming to Warped Tour next year.
I was gonna say it's also that'd be a great band name.
Sparkle.
That is a great band name. That's going on my list of band names.
Ooh, fancy.
I have a whole list of band names from this show in general, really.
Nice.
And that's definitely going to be one. Mr. Todd, what is your drinking game rule?
It is, fuck, I think I can still read cursive. So every time you're reading things, she's got stuff, she's writing as an overview, and there's cursive lettering going on. You're going
like her journal.
Her journaling is oh yeah, I can still read that. Go ahead and take a drink, because who does cursive anymore?
No one. Do they even teach it in school anymore? I heard that they don't teach
so.
it.
I tried to write cursive the other day just for the hell of it.
Ooh.
It wasn't pretty.
No. I can still write cursive, but it was never pretty to begin with, so...
Yeah, I think the only real reason people learn cursive anymore is just to learn their own signature, and that's about it.
Right. And
you don't even need that. You just scribble some gibberish and go, oh, that's my signature.
You should see my initials look like hieroglyphics.
Yeah.
Mine looks like the ad symbol.
That's true. And Mr. Adam, what is your drinking game rule?
Mine is called ass, titties, ass, and titties. Ass, titties, titties, ass, and titties. Or you can just shorten it to ass and titties. Anytime someone's ass or titties, and that's male or female, are front and center on a panel.
There's a lot of that.
Myification.
Todd.
What?
Todd, what is your myification for this book?
The myification for this book is you've got, I was thinking about this because I was like, damn it, Todd, I need to be prepared. It's, Amelia Earhart can fly on steroids.
Validity votes.
So I guess it's time to jump into votes as to whether or not we believe that it is worth you, our dear listeners' hard-earned time, money, and effort to go hunt this book down and give it a read. What is your vote, Mr. Adam?
No.
Mr. Maya?
Yes.
Mr. Todd?
Eh.
Mr. Jason?
Yes.
Actually, I'll change mine to a Todd of meh.
And
thank you, Bruce.
And
did you get Bruce's?
I'll go with it. Yeah. What was Bruce's?
Oh, okay.
You said yes.
Okay.
Obviously. And I'll go with a hesitant yes. I'm more than meh, but yeah. Thanks, Bruce. I appreciate that.
He's got your back.
He does. Appreciate that.
Playlist.
So then we will jump into playlists. We're a little over 50% saying you should go and read this. So we would like to offer you a list of songs that will help your overall experience with the comic book. Let's start out with Mr. Actually, I'm going to make Adam go last because I like his choice. So we'll start out with Mr. Maya.
Mine is Time in a Bottle by Jim Croce.
Not that I don't like your choice as well, but I think I just like Adams. Adams is another one of those, damn, why didn't I think of that? Mr. Jason.
Push the Envelope by the Asteroids Galaxy Tour.
That's almost as hipster as my choice was. So mine is a mildly racist period song called A Proper Cup of Coffee by the Andrews Sisters.
Yes, nice.
So, but like I said, it's mildly racist. And Mr. Todd.
I Believe I Can Fly.
Wow.
She can touch the sky.
Yeah.
Every night and day.
Thanks, R. Kelly.
We did a spoof version of that from one of my jobs called I Believe I Can Score. See that pussy through the open door?
Oh, and there you go.
Oh.
Wow. And Mr. Adam.
I got to go with Danger Zone by Kenny Loggins.
Yep.
Danger Zone!
Okay.
Final warnings.
Do we have any final warnings for people before they go off and read this book?
Don't.
No?
Before we do it, I'll talk about a bit more about the colorist is my biggest beef.
Oh, really?
Yep.
And I think it was your drinking game. I didn't. It's just the art style changing so often really threw me off. I wasn't a big fan of that.
Okay, so then, cool. We're going to take a quick little break, allow you the chance to go read this book for yourself if you so desire to do so. If not, we will spoil it, and apparently we will argue over whether or not it's worth your effort as well. And we will see you on the flip side.
If you have yet to read this week's book and would like to read it now, press pause. Go ahead. We'll wait.
Hi, we're Rebecca and Charity. We get together every once in a while to talk about food and our mental health journeys.
Join us on Spoonful of Podcast as we discuss such compelling subjects as
cinnamon rolls,
depression, European Twinkies,
ADHD,
what's a kolashi,
and more. Tune in every 2 weeks to follow along with the tasty podcast for the healthily mental.
Subscribe on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts to hear us every other week.
A proud member of the Hello Sweetie Podcast Network.
Here's the thing. It's been a little while since I've read this book, so I don't totally remember what's going on. So it's going to be very brief and very vague.
That's fine.
All right, I'll do it.
That's fine?
Okay, Todd's got it.
Will you do it?
I'll do it.
Okay. By all means, be as brief as you want.
Cool.
But, cool.
Captain Marvel, the beginning, the middle, and the end.
Yes, there you go.
So,
at first it began, and then it ended, and then we were done. Go for it.
Plot summary.
Captain Marvel by Kelly Sue DeConnick. So it starts out that she's playing with Captain America. They're beating this person. Captain America goes, "Hey, you should just take the Captain Marvel name." And she's like, "It's not my name." She's like, "Own that shit." And then for the rest of the issue, she goes back and forth and decides, "Fine, I'll own that shit. I'm Captain Marvel."
Because Captain Marvel died from cancer.
Yeah, that's right.
Her mentor.
Her mentor died from cancer, and she took the mantle and says, "Fine, I'll own that shit, and I'll be Captain Marvel." That's issue 1.
Yep.
Right? Do we agree?
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
Cool. Next issue she's going on. She has this idol named Helen going, part of owning that shit is, I wish I could have broken records that Helen had, but now I've got superpowers and nothing I do counts. What was me? I need to stop feeling like a dumb shit because I'm awesome. And since I can't do those records because I'm superpowered now, doesn't mean I'm not still awesome. So, yeah, there was
What
that.
kind of records?
Speed records.
Speed flight.
Speed flight records.
Speed flight.
So instead of flying in a plane and breaking records, she just does it on her own. And yeah. As you continue forth, she's going, remember her meeting with Helen, then she goes on a mission where she goes back in time and she's trying to figure out where the shit she is. And she's fighting with these other women that kick ass that are not remembered in the history books because apparently that's how things roll, which might be true or not. Mostly true. Fight. She needs to just get her shit together. She wins. She goes back in time again, and she's back in present day. And here we're at, and that's the end.
Cool. Yeah, and I think part of it though is I think she's trying to break a speed record, and that's what ends up causing her to go back in time, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, Helen had left her plane, and she was trying to, because Helen had broken whatever altitude record in the plane.
That's what it was, yeah.
And she never got recognition for it, so Carol was actually trying to break that record, and then that's
why she went back in time.
When she ended up somehow going back in time.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
There we are.
Analysis.
Mr. Adam, you were a no on this. What are your thoughts on this?
So, I don't know much about the character. This is pretty much the first Captain Marvel book I've read. Mm-hmm. And as much as, it was really jarring to be this, book about a kick-ass woman and how powerful and strong she is and what she can do. And, written by a female author. And at the same time, that's why my drinking game was Ass and Titties. It just felt like it was very exploitative of the female form. And was just kind of out there to kind of titillate the audience instead of, it was kind of fighting against itself the whole way. And I don't know, I guess maybe it's because I didn't know as much about the character and I was still kind of learning, about her powers, this and that, but the story just felt kind of rambling. Mm-hmm. And I got what she was going through her life and doing things. It just didn't draw me in, and it didn't help that the art style changed so often. And, we understand, we talked about with some other books where, the artist may change after a couple issues or this and that, something happened, they got pulled through a different project. But it's feeling like this one kind of happened a lot.
Well, if you notice, the art style changes from present day, then it changes when she goes back in time, and then it changes with each time jump.
Yeah.
So there's a reason for the art change.
No, I can see that, but it's also I didn't like it. It didn't work for me. So
okay,
it wasn't bad. But that's why I kind of changed mine to a meh with Todd because there was an interesting story there, and I like kind of seeing how she's able to help people in different timelines and how she jumped around. But it just wasn't my thing.
Okay.
So,
Mr. Maya, what are your thoughts?
I really liked it. Before, when she was Ms. Marvel, she did have an ongoing series for a little while that was pretty good, but I never... It kind of, when I was reading it kind of fell along the wayside just because it fell victim to the, I'm reading too much shit, I need to drop some books. But this is the first time I actually got into the character of Carol Danvers when this was coming out. And, it got me into it. And this is what introduced me to Kelly Sue DeConnick, was this book.
Okay.
And no, I really liked it. I liked her going through time and spending time with her hero, and potentially changing the future by going in the past. And I don't know. I just liked it.
Mr. Jason, what are your thoughts on the writing? And I'm curious about your take specifically on Kelly Sue DeConnick's work.
I actually really, really like this. I was a little bit put off with the art style at first and the heavy way it focuses on her body. But in the later issues, I think it got better and it focused less on her ass and titties and more on sort of a female version of male empowerment, so a female power fantasy. And because every time that it showed her about to kick out one of the Prowlers in the past or something else, she just looked just purely iconic as a superhero. And I think that was what the writing helped to bolster, was that it was her sort of learning to own that mantle of what her responsibility is now as a superhero, what she is actually capable of, and to not be either reluctant to own that or feel ashamed that she is somehow cheating because she was used to just being a human before. And so I liked that there were a lot of contradictions to the characters that actually made them more dimensional. Carol Danvers is ballsy but also reluctant at the same time. And that even goes to one of the side characters, Tracy Burke. She's very tough, but when she's in the hospital, she's also very vulnerable. And so I thought that came through in a lot of the characters, and that there was really good balance between conflicts between characters who wanted the same goals but had different ways of going about it. And personally, I read all of Helen Cobb's lines with a sort of refined Southern accent. So when she was talking about it's like a tea kettle on a hot stove, which is a beautiful analogy, it came alive a little bit more for me. And then just more of who Captain Marvel is, because this was my introduction to her as well. And the fact that she's sort of brazen about what she's capable of doing. I'm an Avenger. We call this Tuesday. That's just it does present a very confident, just superhero that I think that everyone would like to look up to, and the fact that it's now finally coming to the screen in Alison Brie's movie, I think will be fantastic.
Brie Larson.
Brie Larson.
Thank you. Yeah.
Alison Brie would be a completely
right.
Yes.
Unikitty.
To jump on that, I will say probably my favorite moment in this whole trade is there's Spidey there, Peter.
Yep.
And they're talking back and forth, and he's like, "Your hair, it's different." And she's like, "Yeah, I'm trying something new." And he's like, "What do you think of it?" And he's like, "Are you gonna vaporize me if I don't like it?" And she's like, "Maybe." And he's like, "I love it." And the thing is, though, is here she is being bold and brazen as part of this rising, and yet she still has this small level of discomfort of, I'm doing this thing, but please don't critique me on this right now. I'm still trying to decide if I like it or not. And Peter's just going, yeah, dude, I like it. So on the writing side of things, that was probably my highlight of this whole series, was that interaction of her, once again, owning it and still getting used to the idea of owning it. And that's probably what Kelly did really well. That moment right there for me was pretty fantastic. And I just really got a kick out of that. So,
cool.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts otherwise, Todd?
So, the colorist, as I was going through this whole thing, and maybe it's a Dexter Soy, I don't see colorist on the list.
There's two artists, actually.
All right.
The Dexter Soy, I think, did the first three.
Okay.
And Emma, I think it's Emma Rios. I don't know. I don't have the
others.
Right
but the whole time I'm watching it, it's just for me feeling like it's like, hey, look, I learned how to color things digitally. Can't you tell? Isn't this neat? And it's it's just very brazen. There's not a lot of subtlety with it, and you can argue that it's a style going for, or it's like a poor man Alex Ross in a lot of ways. And it's just it just doesn't really fit for me. It just took me out of things. Just the choice of shading and the harsh lines with it. I'm just like, it feels something that's not completely rendered yet. Well, probably how I would put that.
I noticed that, and I've always had I'm more drawn to the dialogue than the art. But in the second page when they're fighting the Absorbing Man, I had to double check and make sure that this wasn't taking place in the Marvel zombie universe, because Cap looks like a fucking zombie. Right here.
Yeah, I know the exact image you're talking about.
And then the next page, he looks more normal again. But yeah, that was kind of one of the things with the art style. And I fully understand what Maya was saying about how the different ages had different artists. But yeah, a lot of it just, now that I go back and look at it all, the coloring is just really it was like you say, he's learning to draw on a tablet, and he's still kind of figuring out how to do shaping.
Yeah, got that new iPad Pro.
Speaking of which,
this was a couple of years ago.
On a positive note, Kat finally picked up an iPad Pro, and she's wanted to do digital art forever. Yeah, and she's putting out some of her best work she's ever done with that. So
right, but here you're watching this person learning how to do shading and coloring digitally, and you're like, it's not, and it doesn't feel. It feels like, this looks good enough. Let's move on. And it's just not that. What I'll also say, there was quite the thing there with the backstory on this a little bit with Kelly Sue as she was taking over the book. Is she wanted to change the costume up, because this is the big costume change of Captain Marvel. And she went outside of Marvel and hired Jamie McKelvey to say, hey, I want this new costume, design this thing.
Jamie McKelvey's just great.
She is. It's like, am I going to get paid for it? And she's like, if I have to pay out of my own pocket, I will. And they did it independently of Marvel without their blessing. They brought it to him, and the Marvel one's like, yeah, we can go with this. But it is a pretty good example of Kelly Sue going, I am writing this, and she's having, as much as I just complained about the artwork, her new costume is pretty great.
Agreed.
And she, the reason this costume happened is because Kelly pushed it as hard as she did, and she made it happen. So it's one of those things where she really says, well, if I'm doing this this way. And Marvel kind of acquiesced, going, well, I'm not sure. There was pushback for a while. It's like, I don't know if there's money. I don't know
Jamie for this. Well, Jamie McKelvey, he was doing a bunch of stuff for Marvel anyway.
Sure, but once again, with Captain Marvel, though, this wasn't a big book, so they were trying to keep the budget in line. And they're going, I'm not sure we have money. We want to commission and pay for all this other stuff being done. And she's like, fine, I'll pay for it. But I need to make this happen, and she did. And it's a bit with taking the mantle and the identity change. And we've got the ass and titties problem as it's going through, as it's moving forward, a lesson down. And what's interesting as you watch it is as Kelly Sue's initial ideas is meeting resistance, but as things are being proven out, it seems she's starting to get more and more her way as she is going, all right, this is someone we can lean on heavier than we did before. So I really appreciate that with that. So, but the costume's a great job. I mean, it just holds up. So, but the coloring of it, it's, hey, look, I'm learning how to digitally color.
The coloring on just the painted part in the beginning that bothered you, or the whole book?
For me, the flashbacks were a little bit more deft in touch. But all the modern stuff, I'm just like, it's kind of a cross between like Alex Ross and Jock, but not as good as either one.
Yeah, and I can agree with that.
And it's just not as good as either one. And you're like, it's a poor man, Alex Ross, and Jock's like, hey, I like both these guys. Jock wasn't really a thing then, but it lacks the energy and of that sort of a thing. So it's there and it's being done and it's complete, but it feels, for as much as she's all this power and this heat and she does all this, it's as she's doing these things, it kind of lacks a vibrant energy that I would expect more, just kind of oozing from it. So it's I think it's a failure, and that is what lost me as much as anything, because the writing was pretty good, but lost me on the art.
Okay. Cool. I mean, I think we've gotten just about everybody's opinions, haven't we?
I think so.
Okay. Cool. Then let's jump into cocktails.
Cocktails.
I'm going to start out with mine because I'm just feeling like I should explain myself. I'm going to go with the Cuba Libre, mainly because I picked an Andrew Sister song, and one of my favorite Andrew Sister songs is Rum and Coca-Cola. So which is also an oddly dirty song that is about hookers that you don't realize it until you listen to it when you're older because it's such sweet singing that you don't realize how dirty the song actually is.
Those are my favorite kind of songs.
That's true. So what you're going to do for this recipe is 4 ounces of cola, 1/3 ounce fresh lime, and 1 2/3 ounce of white rum. You build the ingredients in a highball glass filled with ice, and you garnish with a lime wedge. Pretty straightforward and easy. Mr. Adam, what is your cocktail?
So mine's called Oh Captain, My Captain. So it's 2 ounces of silver rum, 1/2 ounce of lime juice, 1/2 ounce of cinnamon syrup, 1 ounce of pineapple juice, and 1/2 ounce of sweet vermouth. Put all ingredients into an ice-filled shaker, shake the shit out of it, and then strain into a rocks glass filled with ice.
Cool. Mr. Todd, what is your your cocktail?
So what I'm referencing for this one is the kamikaze. And where I'm pulling this from is there's a sequence before Captain Marvel gets her druthers together, is her buddies are going, I guess we're all going to die now. It's been nice working for you, but we're going out in a blaze of glory. So I'm like, kamikaze is where this is coming
I'll also add that song to the playlist, Blaze of Glory by Bon Jovi.
There you go. So this one has 2 ounces of vodka, 3/4 ounce of an orange liqueur, and then 3/4 ounce of fresh lime juice. You want to put all of that into a shaker with ice, and then you proceed to shake the shit out of it, and then you strain into 2 different shot glasses, and then you just take one right after the other. So you shoot one, then shoot the second.
Ooh.
Then that's your kamikaze.
Well, not to ruin anything, but that was my cocktail for next week, so thanks for ruining that. But whatever. Mr. Jason, what is your cocktail?
Still use it next week.
I will. I have no intention of not.
My cocktail is the Aviation. 2 ounces of gin, 1/2 ounce of maraschino liqueur, 1/4 ounce of creme de violet or creme yvette, 3/4 ounces fresh lemon juice. Add all the ingredients to a shaker filled with ice, shake, and then strain into a cocktail glass and garnish with a cherry.
I've never had creme de violet. I'm interested.
Here am I.
It's a nice purple flavor.
That sounds pretty fancy for you, Tom.
I don't know. I'll put my pinky up on occasion. Pinkies up. Yeah.
Cool. And then, Mr. Maya, did we get yours?
Nope. Mine's called the B-52.
Which I want to say I was happy when you sent this to me because that was like my go-to shot in grad school.
Oh, really?
The first time I went to grad school, not the most recent time.
It's 1 ounce of Kahlua, 1 ounce of Bailey's, 1 ounce of Grand Marnier.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Put them all in a cocktail shaker with ice. Shake it up, and then strain it into 2 shot glasses.
I love me a good B-52. Tastes caramelly. It's very tasty. Anyway, now I'm having fond memories of B-52s. Thanks for that, Maya. Cool. Does anybody else have any parting thoughts or anything they want to discuss before we move on?
Parting thoughts.
You know, as a introduction to Captain Marvel, it's probably as good as anything in that. And I'm looking forward to the movie, and as we're watching that there, but it's not a. I guess what I'm trying to figure out a bit is it's a jumping on point for the character, and they give a brief back history of it. But I'm not super sold on it, type of a deal.
Okay.
It's just where I'm at.
It's been a while since I've read the whole, because the first series was, I think, 15 issues with like 2 crossover issues that it did at the end. I need to go back and reread it. And
so she can fly, and she's got heat blast powers. Is that? And she's like
super strength, extra durable, and that's Captain Marvel. And she's just trying to figure out. She started out human, and she isn't any longer. She isn't. Right now, it seems like Marvel's trying to fuck with her origin a bit.
Sure, they're playing with it. I mean, Kelly's trying to make her mark, and with the costuming and whatnot, I mean, she definitely did, and the movie's based on the comics work. So,
kind of.
Okay.
Marvel just released a mini-series called, I think it's called, like, The Life of Captain Marvel or something like that, and they've made some changes to her origin that a good friend of ours who is probably the biggest Captain Marvel fan we know, Rebecca, she is not happy with, because they're, like, fucking with her origin big time.
Yeah. But is she well known enough to care?
I don't think. I mean, she's well known enough to get a movie at this point in time.
Ant-Man got a movie.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing I would look at too is that it's one of those things where if you're a hardcore fan, you want to see that origin recreated on screen.
Mm-hmm.
You take some of these lesser known characters. Like we know who Captain Marvel is, but I can guarantee you that the average moviegoer, all they know about Captain Marvel is just what they've seen from the trailers.
Sure.
And if it gets people into the character, and they can go back and kind of see what the original origin was.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Guardians of the fucking Galaxy.
Nobody knew.
No one knew what that was, and now you've got 7-year-old grandparents who think Groot is the best thing in the world.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun.
So you can take some of these characters, and again, it's there's a lot of things I hold near and dear to my heart that I like for instance, Dark Phoenix is like when the Dark Phoenix saga is what got me back into comics as an adult, and of course X-Men Last Stand is bullshit. And looking at what they're doing with the Dark Phoenix movie,
hashtag not my Dark Phoenix.
Yeah. I felt like hashtag me too after I was done watching the movie. Kidding. I'm going to get flamed for that. No, but so with this new Dark Phoenix movie they're doing, that's going to pretty much end, like, it'll be like the swan song for like the Fox X-Men movies.
For sure. It's like,
yeah, of course they're probably going to do it differently than I'm used to it, but if they're going to do the character justice, and like at the end of X-Men Army Apocalypse, which wasn't that good of a movie, when Sophie Turner goes out as Jean Grey and does the Firebird, the first time I've ever seen it on the screen, like I lost my shit in the movie theater because I was just like, I've waited like my whole life to see this shot. So yes, the character's being done differently, but can you still accept it and enjoy it for what it is? I think you will. And I think you're going to see a lot more people getting into Captain Marvel after this movie comes out who never would have been a fan beforehand.
What I'll also say is previously it's been 2.5 years now. Good hell. We did Ms. Marvel by G. Willow Wilson. I love the shit out of that one so much more than I did this book. So if people are asking me which one I should read, Captain Marvel or the Ms. Marvel, I'm going to tell them Ms. Marvel every time.
Well, speaking of G. Willow Wilson, I'm behind a bit, but she just started
Wonder Woman.
I'm excited to check that out.
Yeah, but
and Kelly
Kamala Khan
and Kelly Sue on Aquaman.
Kelly Sue's on Aquaman, but Kamala Khan Ms. Marvel run, I would recommend that to the Captain Marvel one.
That book I enjoyed for a long time, and then to me it kind of got a little stale, a little ways into it. But that's just me.
Sure.
But I enjoyed probably the first 5 or 6 trades worth, and then I thought it kind of fizzled out and ended up being kind of the same stuff over and over.
Okay. But, yeah, all right.
Final grades. Self-contained.
What is your vote, Mr. Todd?
So it's the first 5 issues, and she basically going, yeah.
Well, is it the first 5 or is it the first 6?
I don't know. Let's say 5 or 6.
That's the thing.
It makes it different because if it is 6, it actually does wrap up this beginning arc quite well.
Yeah, I think it's 6.
Let's go with 6. I'm very open to being wrong. With the first 6 issues of this, you've got Carol Danvers that says, okay, I'm going to be Captain Marvel now. I'm no longer the Ms. Marvel. And then her adventure ends, but you don't really see any tendrils of adventures to come. So as contained is, it could just stop right here, and I'm not looking for what's next or what's not wrapped up. Everything's extremely wrapped up. So as contained, I'm going to give it an A. Because I'm not sure. I mean, adventures happen, but it's a very satisfying arc.
Yeah, it is the first 6. I just double-checked.
Cool. Mr. Jason, what is your grade?
I would also say an A for self-contained.
Okay. Mr. Adam.
I'll give it an A as well. I mean, this could be a one-shot, and you would never, or it could be leading to a new thing, and you'd have a full story either way.
Okay. Mr. Maya.
I'm also at an A.
Cool. And I will stick around with the trend and go with an A for that.
Writing grade.
For Duconic, or Deconic. Probably Deconic. What is your grade, Mr. Jason?
I'm going to say an A. I thought it was a good evolution from Miss Marvel and a good introduction for Captain Marvel.
Mr. Todd.
I'm going to give it a B+. I really enjoyed it, but it's on the writing. I'm trying to separate out the writing from that. That art really annoyed me, and it just kind of grabbed on.
Okay.
So B+, A- for similar reasons there. She did a great job on that, but it's not the best thing I ever read. So A-.
Cool. Mr. Adam.
For the writing, I'll go with a B. I mean, the story was interesting. It was kind of cool to see her going through the timelines and seeing how, the whole butterfly effect thing. And she's like, well, my favorite line was like, what was it? She's like, don't sneeze on anything. Don't step on this. She's like, well, can I use my powers and blast these guys? So that was, I love time travel stories. That was fun. And, it was an interesting story overall. But yeah, so I mean, then my problem with it wasn't the writing either. So.
Okay. And Mr. Maya.
I'm at an A. I really like the story itself, and Jason kind of touched on it before, but I think any of the scenes with her friend that had cancer, any of the scenes she was in, I think stole the book for me. And no, I loved it.
And I'm probably going to sit with a A- on writing. I liked it a lot. It's just not necessarily the best thing I've ever read, but it was still very good.
Art grade.
For art, I'm sure this will be fun. What is your grade? I mean, I would go off with the names of the teams, but there's a lot of names involved, and we'd be here all day reading up all the people who had involved.
We'll just say Dexter, Sawyer, and Emma-Rios.
Okay, because there's more than that, but that's okay. So what is your grade for art, Mr. Maya?
I'm at a C+, B-. Yeah, there were parts of it that bothered me, but it wasn't enough for me to dislike the book. But grading just the art itself, C+.
Mr. Adam.
I'm gonna go with a D. I mean, as we kind of talked about before, was that the coloring was off. I understand why they were changing the art style so often, but at the same time, it was just jarring, took me out of the experience. And for a book that's supposed to be a kick-ass woman, they were very objectified throughout the book. So,
Mr. Todd.
I'm gonna go along with Mr. Adam here. Is the coloring was such a state is I stopped reading because I was annoyed and irritated at the artwork. And
okay,
that just brought me out of the whole experience. So it didn't suck me in, it pushed me out. And yeah, that's just a fail. So it's a D.
Okay. I'm going to go with a B on art. It didn't bother me nearly as much as it bothered everybody else, but that's okay.
Yeah, I'm with you too. B as well.
But yeah, that's just me, I guess. And Adam.
No,
I convinced Adam.
You're completely... I'm not saying your opinion is wrong. It just didn't bother me as much as it bothers you. That's all there is to it.
The colorblind guy really annoyed by the coloring, right?
I mean, take your opinion for what it's worth, I guess.
Right.
Final grades.
So cool. So let's jump in with overall grades. Mr. Todd, what is your grade?
It's an introductory piece to the character. It's a jumping on point, and the writing was good. The art felt like someone was assigned to the job and going, I guess I can figure this out. So altogether, I'll give it a B-, and it's only that high because Kelly Sue did such a good job.
Okay. Mr. Adam.
I'm just going to go with a C. I've said before, this is a book you're going to ask me about in 2 months from now, and I'll be like, Like, it didn't resonate with me, and I'd rather have a book be completely horrible, like Deadpool, or just completely amazing.
Deadpool, Max, nut job.
Or completely amazing, like Wicked and Divine, because those are the ones you remember. Or like, and honestly, Deadpool is kind of whatever. It's more like, Bobo. The one that's always going to piss us off. Those stick out in your mind.
I'm glad I wasn't here for that.
Yeah.
I've got a copy.
I'm good.
I think I actually literally did burn mine. But it is what it is. I feel like there could be a better introduction to the character as far as the way it could have been. I think again with the art and the coloring, because the story was okay, but I'm not going to remember it in 2 months.
I actually like this book enough that I bought the next volume because I want to keep figuring out what the story goes on with this, and I did read the bigger volume with 2 trades worth, so I enjoyed it. So I'm going to go with an actual B+. Mr. Jason.
I'm actually going to go with an A. Despite the up and down artwork, I actually thought that Kelly Sue DeConnick did a lot of really good stuff with the character of Captain Marvel and having to straddle her history as Miss Marvel, where Marvel wanted Captain Marvel to be, and where she thought Captain Marvel should be going, which I think elevated this book beyond even where Marvel was anticipating. So for that, it's an A for me.
I'm staring at a page right here now,
cool.
and it feels like it's a Michael Bay lighting job. You've got orange faces, light blue background, and I'm just like, am I watching Transformers again?
And she's, bent over the hood of a car washing the car.
And Gracie.
I missed this issue. Which one is this one?
Yeah, I didn't see that part. But really, it's just back to the coloring. It took me out to such a degree. I'm just like, ugh. So, yeah, shame on you, Dexter.
This was this was actually his first job with Marvel somehow.
Oh, I can see that.
I'm going with a B. Figure that's a fair balance between my love of the story and my mehness on the art. So we'll go with a B.
Grade point average.
Okay, well then that puts us at a B+. plus
Really?
average of a GPA. Yeah, it does.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm double checking my math. We're right. We're at a 2.6. Oh no, wait, sorry, 2.6. That's a B minus average, or just below a B minus.
Okay,
average, not B plus.
I'll accept that.
You feel better about that?
Yeah, that one's much more in line.
Okay, sorry. Yes, I was going the wrong direction on the digits.
Next week on Funny Books on Firewater.
Next week we are going to be doing Gwenpool, or The Unbelievable Gwenpool, Volume 1, which is called Believe It, which is about a woman / girl, teenager, I'm guessing, who happens to be a huge comic book fan and finds herself in the comic book universe, and so therefore she has no fear of anyone and just does whatever the fuck she wants. And hilarity and wackiness ensue. So
my favorite line in this whole thing is, as we're going through, and I enjoyed this one, is big boots, no pants.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I like the one and we'll talk about it again, but with because the lady who makes all her clothes reminds me of is it what's the one from Incredibles?
Edna Mode.
Edna, yep.
And she's talking 100%. To her boss, and she's like, this time, blah, blah, blah. She's like, can you make a suit for a man who can see with his ears?
I love that.
Yeah, every time she was on screen, I just imagine her talking like Aunt Edna from Incredibles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, well, that's next week. We won't get into that now, but so join us next week for Gwenpool. Who has 20 minutes? Well, yes, but for us, but for the rest of the world, it'll be next week. So, there it goes.
We know that
Recommendations.
Does anybody have any recommendations they want to jump in on? Actually, I'll jump in on my recommendation first because I promised I would.
Oh, fine, just ask us and then take over. Jeez.
You know what? Blow me, clown.
Right on.
There we go. Enjoy. Yeah, no, so I have been doing this weird thing. I've been trying to run for at least an hour every day. We're still kind of in the time of the year where people are still trying to follow through with their New Year's resolutions. And so far, I've been trying to run about an hour every day, at least bare minimum 1 mile. Full hour. And I've been running
just need to interject here.
Yes.
The last time I actually ran a mile was high school, and that was 20 fucking years ago.
Yeah.
So hats off, dude.
Well, thank you. But I've been distracting myself from the pain in my legs by watching The New Girl. I know it's an old TV show, but I've been doing what I've been calling the New Girl runs. So I will go and run about three episodes worth of The New Girl, and have been enjoying that. So if you want to join me in such a thing. Also, I'm looking for recommendations on the next series to watch after I'm done with The New Girl, because I've watched The Office and How I Met Your Mother one too many times, so I'm looking for a different new series to watch.
Watch both seasons of The Good Place that are on Netflix.
Agreed.
Oh, that's a good call. Okay,
and then season 3 as soon as it hits, because that show is the best show on TV.
Okay. Agreed.
So do you want something that you need to pay attention to, or something you have in the background that's, you don't have to pay attention to?
Like a good sitcom seem to be good. So it's like something that I can follow the story and laugh at, but not something that I have to pay so much attention to that I can't follow the story while being distracted by running. You know what I mean?
Okay, then I won't recommend my recommendation to you. So
that 70s show fits in quite nicely.
Yeah.
Or that'd be a good one too. I was also thinking about trying to maybe go back and watch Golden Girls.
It should be on Hulu, I believe. Yeah.
I've just never watched it as an adult, and I know that it's probably significantly
hilarious. It's like, so when I was a kid, I watched it on its first air run.
Yeah, so did I.
And I went back.
You guys are old.
And I went back and watched it as an adult. And I was like, this show is so fucking dirty. So I remember I called my mom, like, you used to let me watch Golden Girls? That is the dirtiest show on TV. She's like, well, you thought it was the funny grandma show. You didn't get the jokes.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun to watch. And actually, it was very interesting. The very first episode, the pilot, they actually had a manservant, like a butler, who was gay. And it was very out and about that he was gay. And actually, that show was incredibly forward-thinking for its time. I mean, they dealt with everything from rape to Rose being infected to HIV-infected blood, didn't know if she was going to come down with AIDS, to just the sexuality in older women is something that's still not really addressed nowadays. And we have these women who are very proud of their sexuality and going out and having sex and doing things we didn't think old people did. I think if you go back and watch it as an adult, it's eye-opening to realize just how progressive that show really was. They dealt with gay marriage. They dealt with how to deal with your family member coming out. And there's a lot of really, really good topics of conversation that were being addressed back then that they weren't afraid to address.
3 miles from my house is a Catholic school called St. Olaf's.
Oh, no.
Yes.
I need to go take a picture of this place.
So there's a St. Olaf's. Without fail, every time I drive by this place. I'm like, well, back in St. Olaf's. Thank you.
Can I ask a stupid question? Better than anyone that I know, Rose. Dorothy's my Patronus.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Mr. Patronus, do you have any recommendations?
Yeah. So the one I was going to recommend for Brian that I decided not to was The Magicians. Season 3 just dropped on Netflix. I love the book series, and the TV series is great because they have the basic plotline of the book series, but they're doing their own take on it. So you never really know where the story's going to go, what's going to happen. So even those who love the books, it's still a really enjoyable experience because you're still trying to figure out what they're going to do next. Because they had a whole episode where they put together a musical act in every single episode, and like they did Under Pressure with like these zombie people dancing around. It was cool. But no, our recommendation is actually something I just started today. I'm about halfway through the first trade. Came out in 2015 on Image Comics. It's called Monstrous.
Mm-hmm. You like that book?
I just started and I'm loving it so far.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's what's her name is the writer? It's
Marjorie Liu.
Marjorie Liu, yeah.
And
I knew she wrote X-23 for a while.
Yeah. Well, actually, she was the first woman ever to win an Eisner Award for being a comic book writer back last year.
Yeah, Marjorie Liu's great.
But it takes place in like a matriarchal society in Asia back in the early 20th century. It's kind of steampunkish, and basically you've got this war going on between the Arcanics, who are these mythical creatures who can look like they're human, and then you've got the Kumea, who are women who are all sorceresses who can consume the Arcana to power their powers. And the main character, what is her name again here? It's Micah Halfwolf, and she's missing part of her arm, and she's an Arcana, but she's trying to get into kind of avenge the death of her mother. And I just got the part where she's got this weird, like, Cthulhu, like, old one god that's attached to her soul and comes out of her arm and does shit. And I don't know. I just started it, and I'm loving it so far. There's only, like, 21 issues because they go on long hiatuses, it looks like. But the new ones, the next 3, should be coming out in the next couple months. So I'll get back to you in a couple weeks later if I like it. But so far, it's really enjoyable. So
okay.
And so far, it's available.
Read it.
Yeah, it's available in 3 trades, or you can get one like omnibus of all 18 episodes.
Cool. Mr. Todd.
Another Kelly Sue DeConnick book I really enjoyed was Pretty Deadly, and
that book is also great.
It is great.
And that's Emma Rios as the art.
So I really enjoyed Pretty Deadly. It's a Western fantasy revenge-ish type book. So it's a whole lot of fun, and I recommend that one much more than I do this book.
Mr. Jason.
I don't remember if we talked about this last week, but Kelly Sue DeConnick's run on Aquaman that just started.
Mm-hmm. No, I don't think we did. We just mentioned it.
Okay, yeah, I just read the first issue and I really like it so far. And I also liked her interview on Polygon.com, where she talks about sort of the mythology behind Arthur's connection to the ocean and our own connection to the ocean, and it was very interesting. So I'm curious to see where it goes.
And I like that she imagines like a Led Zeppelin soundtrack to her.
Yes,
Aquaman run.
Cool. And Mr. Meyer.
Mine. I'm also going to do a first issue. This came out, I think, in mid-December. But DC just started a new 12-issue maxi series about the Freedom Fighters. Freedom Fighters are a superhero team on Earth X, which is an Earth where the Nazis had won the war. If you saw the DC TV crossover last year, that's what that was based off of, was Earth X. And it's written by Robert Venditti, and Eddie Barrows does the pencils, and the first issue is really good. It starts off in like the 60s, and this thing happens where we'll just say all hope is lost that the Nazis can lose, and then it picks back up present day with a whole new group of heroes that are taking over, a new group of the Freedom Fighters. And I really like the first issue a lot.
Cool. I haven't heard about that at all. That's awesome.
Anybody else?
Thank you, Bruce.
Oh, Bruce, what do you recommend?
He recommends dry cat food.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I had
dry, cheap cat food.
A Yorkie dog, and his favorite thing to eat in the whole world was deli cat. So Rocky was one interesting piece of shit. So I love that dog.
So I guess that'll do it for this week. So join us next week for Gwenpool. Anybody else have anything? I think we're good. Well, thanks for all the fishes and so long, and we'll see you later.
Bye.
So that happened. Thank you you for joining us for this week's episode. This band of knuckleheads will be back next week with a new episode. Until then, you can find them on Facebook, Instagram, and Tumblr as Funny Books and Firewater, and on Twitter as @FirewaterCast. Go to funnybooksandfirewater.com for the most up-to-date information, as well as cocktail recipes from this and past episodes. Thank you for joining us. And until next week, support your local comic shop, tip your bartender well, and stay hydrated.